Hello everyone, I'm Luigi and this is a Google Pixel 6a. Let's get right into it. It's a budget version of the Pixel 6 flagship. It has a new redesign that the Pixel's got, as well as Google owned chip, which is a Tensor chip. Let's jump straight to the build and the specs of this phone. This phone is made of aluminum, which makes it really light. The thinness and the roundness on the corners makes it really comfortable to hold for hours, so you can game and just hold your phone for hours on end without feeling it too harsh on your hands, which is quite nice compared to something like the iPhone Pro versions, which has quite hard edges. But regardless of how light this phone actually is, it still feels really good and really high quality built. It doesn't feel like it's going to break anytime soon, and it doesn't feel like it's going to break very easily just because it's light. The overall design is pretty much the same as a Pixel 6, but with the camera bar being a little slimmer and doesn't stick out as much. It's IP67 rated, supports USB-C fast charging and SIM support, so you still get the chance to have a single SIM and electronic SIM. This phone also packs a 4410 mAh battery, which is advertised to last for 24 hours. And I can say that it's been lasting me about 12 to 16 hours, depending on use. 12 hours if I'm doing heavy gaming all day at peak brightness and just using it for just at the gaming at the highest refresh rates and frame rates and all that stuff, and then about 16 hours if you're using it for more social media and taking notes and entertainment through the day, and maybe some light gaming here and there, and mostly a kind of like brightness of 80%. But it still has some really good battery life. I think the work that Google has done with its Tensor chip and trying to bring its power hungriness down a little bit, it definitely has worked. I know from previous reviews and reviews that were posted when this phone came out about 7 months ago, it was known that the Google Tensor chip was power hungry, but I believe with software upgrades that has been happening over the last few months, it's not as power hungry as it used to be, or at least it's more efficient. Now let's talk about the display of this phone. It has the exact same display as a Pixel 6, so it's still a beautiful 6.1 inch OLED display with very thin bezels all around it, with a hole punch cut out for the camera at the top. But the only downside with this phone is that it's only 60 Hz of refresh rates instead of the 90 Hz that the Pixel 6 has. Again, it might seem weird to downgrade to 60 Hz coming from the 90 Hz, but when you have the exact same display from the Pixel 6, you still have the beautiful colors, exact same display and quality and resolution. It's interesting that they decided to downgrade on the refresh rate, even though it's exactly the same display. What happened there, Google? But the quality and overall look of the display is still really good. Google has done a great job of portraying very accurate and vibrant colors without looking out of place. The display gets plenty bright. Obviously, it's pretty average compared to some other phones at this price range. But again, it's not too bad. You might struggle at very direct sunlight or very kind of like very sunny days. But apart from that, on overcast days or direct sunlight where it's not very sunny, is still pretty usable and it's still pretty solid outdoors. And just like the Pixel 6, you also get an on-the-display fingerprint scanner, which is very consistent, at least for me. 9 times out of 10 worked immediately, and it never became an annoying issue, but I do miss not having Face ID as well. Now, let's dive into probably the thing that surprised me the most with this phone, and that is its cameras. This phone has 2 cameras. You get your normal 12.2 megapixel camera, but you also get a 12 megapixel ultra wide camera, which is an actual upgrade in the A series, because before it used to be a 12 megapixel lens or sensor for the cameras, and then you used to get a slightly different megapixel for the ultra wide cameras. So this time you get 12 megapixels for both, so you're going to get the exact same resolution and quality from your normal camera to your ultra wide camera, which is great. The cameras perform amazing, especially with famous Google processing and how Google has been building the processing over the last few years. The look of old Pixel pictures are just accurate. They look beautiful. Skin tones are accurate. Colors are just lovely. The processing that Google has done within its software and hardware and how they've been married them together, it actually just works perfectly, and it's been shown on this Pixel 6a. The camera on this phone just performs really well on every scenario. There's no one scenario that you will say is the best out of all the phones that are right now in the market, but it's definitely a phone and a camera that can perform well in every aspect, and you'll be really happy with every picture that you take in whatever situation that you have as well. You also get the camera features that the Pixel C has got and the Pixel 7 has got now, which is True Tone and the Magic Eraser. So those are things that you can have as well on your Pixel 6a. You also have an 8 megapixel selfie camera, which I wish they use for face unlock. You can also record up to 4K at 30 and 60 frames per second with a main camera, and up to 1080p at 30 frames per second with a front facing camera. But in this phone, you can really tell how everything works together beautifully, from the Tensor chip to the machine learning to the camera sensors and just the overall Google processing that we've all come to love and enjoy. It all comes together in this Pixel 6a, even though it's a slightly and cheaper phone than some of the flagships like the Pixel 6, 6 Pro, 7 and 7 Pro now. This still takes beautiful pictures. In fact, this phone won the MKBHD blind test for smartphones, and yeah, it just come on top. So it just produces some beautiful pictures. Night mode still top notch on the Google lineup. I believe is probably one of the best night modes I've seen in all the phones that I've owned in the past, including my iPhone 14 Pro, which I'm recording right now. But it's just beautiful. So that's something that every time I need to take a night mode picture, I put my iPhone away and I take my Pixel 6a out. And last but not least, let's go into the performance of this phone, because quite frankly, it kind of holds its own against other flagships. Apps open fast with no problem. All games run very smoothly and fast. With a great internet connection, you can play heavy graphics games like Asphalt 9 with no lag whatsoever. You also have the ability to set the phone to game mode to enhance its internals for better frame rates and performance to make the game run better. But really, after 2 months of using this phone, it's never let me down. It's never lagged, it's never got overpower, it's never throttle, it's never got too hot either, especially when gaming. It might just get a tad hot when you're gaming and charging at the same time, but apart from that, I've never had any issues with performance whatsoever. So in terms of all these internals, even though it's 6 gigs of RAMs, this is the version of 128 gigs, which is the maximum you can get. It still performs perfectly and beautifully, even with multitasking and with multiple apps open at the same time. But overall, I have no complaints about this phone whatsoever. It's a beautiful phone, it looks good, it feels good. I would like it to have Face ID and a higher refresh rate on the display, but that's just something that I would like. It's not necessary, but it'd be nice to have it in a phone at this price. So this is still a good phone overall, especially at the price right now. So in the UK, it retails for $399, and in the US, it retails for about $430. But I've seen deals, and I've seen on Amazon and different deals online that you can find this phone right now for £299, about $350, which is even a better deal. So you could grab this phone either now or wait until about June, July, which kind of like, if we stay on schedule, we might see Google dropped a Google Pixel 7a, which again, it will be probably slightly better than this, but again, not that much better, not that many more improvements, I wouldn't think. So this phone is still really solid. I'm really happy with this purchase, and yeah, I would definitely recommend it. So if you're looking for a cheaper phone with some solid internals, great cameras and a beautiful display, I recommend you to get the Pixel 6a. This is just a good phone that performs quite well on all areas that you want it to perform well. Cameras, battery and display just works. But that is all from me today, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. See ya.